Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. We are here tonight for the Warren City School District Board of Education regular meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, January the 30th, 2024, and the time is 6:02 p.m. We are here, thankfully, at Jefferson Pre-K 8 School in the cafeteria. We want to thank you so much for hosting us. We are so excited to be here. And we also have live stream available at warrencityschools.org. If everyone would please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is a meeting of the Warren City Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participating during the meeting as indicated in agenda items number 11A and 11B. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And can you please call the roll?
Dr. Alls? Here. Mr. Flanagan?
Here.
Mrs. Patterson?
She is excused.
Mr. Walker?
Present.
And Mrs. Lamperos?
Here. Okay, there's no need for us to move into executive session, so we'll go on to page number 2 and item number 4, communications. Mr. Shiro?
Great, thank you. I have 2 communications this evening. The first is I'd like to thank the Board of Education for their service. January is School Board Recognition Month, as designated by Ohio School Boards Association. And so with that, I'd like to thank each of you for your time and dedication to children in the city of Warren.
Thank you.
I know that was very short, sweet, and to the point. The reality is we're here for the good work of the children in the city of Warren. You guys know how important it is. Your support goes with everyone in the community, and we all do want to thank you for all that you do. Secondly, I wanted to bring to the board's attention that on the February Board of Education agenda, there's going to be a resolution that is going to be recommending 2 early releases in changing and modifying the school year calendar. The first one is going to be specific to Warren G. Harding High School. The staff and administration at Warren G. Harding High School is going to be administering the PSAT and the SAT for students at 2 different grade levels. And with that, they wanted to do a conducive testing environment, and they brought forth the suggestion of doing an early release where the entire building would be in testing mode or in other activities throughout the day with a modified schedule. And I am recommending the board approve that for that day. That would also help us to leverage the greatest amount of staff to support students, especially those with accommodations and needs for testing. The second day, which is kind of one of these debated topics that has been going around, is April 8th, which we refer to in my office as Eclipse Day. So April 8th is the Monday immediately after spring break, and there is an eclipse that will be, a full eclipse that will be coming across portions of Ohio, Trumbull County partially affected at the time of around 3 to 4 o'clock in that range. My recommendation to the board is to do an early release, that our latest buildings will dismiss at 2 o'clock and all activities will be canceled for that evening, and that the buses will be back in the garage a little after 2:30. That way everything is safe, secure, and well cared for. The reason I'm calling it Eclipse Day is we're working with a teacher at the high school who works with this degree of science, and we are looking to design academic lessons that can be taught at all grade spans that are in session that day regarding the eclipse and other experiences. I know we've already made some purchases and expenses in the district to support that day and support student learning. It doesn't come around all the time, especially in our area in the country. I wish I had the statistic to tell you when it was going to happen again, but I don't. So we are going to invest time during the day, not the entire day, but time at each grade level to talk about the science of the eclipse for our students on that day. And then our staff will be released as well early on that day, especially those that are here in attendance with us this evening from Jefferson. This has been a topic of debate for over a year in the Trumbull County Superintendent's meeting. There's 3, maybe 4 schools that are going to remain open with an unchanged schedule. There's 6 or 7 schools that are planning on closing for the day, and the rest are going to be an early release, and that is the avenue for which I'm recommending to the Board of Education. We're going to make the most of the day. It's going to be the day back from spring break, and we're going to focus on a piece of science that children should be able to learn and experience from. So I wanted to give everyone the heads up. If you have any thoughts or comments on that, please let me know in the meantime, but at this time, that's going to be my recommendation coming forward. That concludes the communications for this evening.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Dr. Rawls?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6, the treasurer's report.
Okay, few items that I wanted to go over with you tonight, and I'll get Frank to pull up my PowerPoint. First of all, we have on the agenda tonight, we're approving our tax rates for 2024. So annually in December, I get information from the county auditor's office regarding property tax valuations, and I work with the auditor's office to set the millage rates that are necessary to collect our fixed sum emergency levies and the rate that would be necessary to meet our bond levy obligations. With that being said, in 2024, we have new property valuations, and this has been a hot topic, so I thought I would illustrate for you what impact we are seeing in Warren City. In the top section of the information, you see 2024 valuation. To the right of that is 2023, and then the change in percentage between the years. The first one is our Class 1 residential and agricultural property valuation, which increased to just shy of $277 million from $195 million, which is a 42% increase. In Class 2 industrial property, we went from just shy of 81 million to just shy of 89 million, which is a 10% increase. And then our public utility went from 39 million to 42 million, a 7% increase. So our valuations overall are 315 million previously in 2023, up to 407 million in 2024, a 29% increase overall. In looking at these valuations, then we have to look and see what is the impact that that is going to have on our tax rates. Okay, so it's important to understand that we have general obligation taxes that are fixed rate levies, and they are at a full millage rate, which means we have, and you can go up to a 10 mil inside levy. We are, as a district, are at 4.7 mils. That inside levy, a millage will never change. That's constant. And then outside is your voted millage that goes beyond the 10 mil limitation. So when that was voted in, well, back as long ago as 1979, it was voted in at a full millage rate of 34.85. So that combined with your inside millage gives you a full voted millage of 39.55. Because we use effective tax rates to adjust for inflation and property value increases so that you're not generating revenue above what was originally voted in, if you go down a little bit below that, we can see what our effective tax rate is in today's So in our Class 1 residential, we are at 21.83 mils for 2024. In 2023, that was at 29.02, so it's a decrease in 7.19 mils. So what that means is you've had a 42% increase in your property values, but the millage gets decreased so that you're not being taxed on that increase. Okay, so it's adjusted back to roll back the dollar amount that we would be collecting and taxpayers would be paying. Okay? And then for Class 2, we are seeing a 3.05 millage reduction. And in public utility, it stays the same because for these fixed rate levies, the public utilities pay the full voted millage. They do not have the effective tax rate come into consideration. Now, below is our bond millage, which we use to pay for our facilities that were under the Ohio School Facilities Commission, all 5 new buildings that we have. That was 6.05 mils. It has now gone down to 5 mils, so a decrease of 1.05 mils. Then we have our permanent improvement levies. That's a 1 mil levy in which the public utility pays the full 1 mils, but then the residential and commercial are rolled back. Residential being 0.65 in 2024, commercial being 0.86. Those are just a 0.27% decrease and 0.12% decrease. The emergency levy that generates the $3.9 million, that was originally voted in 1994 and has been renewed over time. And this particular levy is what is on the ballot to be renewed in March. That was last year at 12.4 mils. This is going to be 9.65 mils in 2024, so it's a decrease of 2.75 mils. What's important to remember is this structure levy is a fixed sum levy. It's only going to generate that exact dollar amount. So the millage gets adjusted back with those property valuation increases to still generate the 3.9 million. There's no new tax dollars coming in on that levy. And then the same would be true for the next levy. That's the $1.8 million emergency levy, which is set to expire in 2026. That has 6 mils was in 2023. It is now down to 4.65, which is a reduction of 1.35 mils. So overall, we are seeing that the Class 1 residential and agricultural reduction in millage is 12.61, industrial 8.32, and then public utility is 5.15. So there's the, opposite effect, as your property values increase, your tax millage is going to decrease. And that's what we're seeing here. And I just wanted to illustrate that for all of you before you go and vote on it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Do any of the board members have any questions?
Not really a question, but I just want to say thank you, Karen, for pointing that out again. And just, we've been really blessed as far as, property values going up in this area here recently. And it's nice to know that, what we say is true. We're still able to function in the district on the money that we've already allocated to gain. As a matter of fact, we haven't had new money, correct me if I'm wrong, since I was in high school in 1994.
Right.
So, and we're not asking for any new money, just to continue what we've been receiving, which is a decrease in millage.
Right. One of the things that's important to point out as well is state funding is based upon a district's wealth. So when your property valuations go up, you're considered a wealthier district, okay? And then also, if your enrollment's declining, then that makes your per pupil go up as well, which makes you look like a wealthier district. So that decreases your share of the state funding base cost, okay? So we're not necessarily getting more money in property values, and we could be getting less money in state funding because of that relationship. So it's important to understand how those two how that affects one another.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then the only other item I have to discuss is another item that's on the agenda tonight, and that's for the tax abatement that is going out to the Trumbull County Commissioners and Warren Council for their consideration. There is a corporation called Dawn Incorporated who is requesting a 10-year, 75% tax incentive for some expansion of and remodeling of parking and warehouse facility that is at 2861 and 2961 Safara Avenue. So the tax incentive would be for 10 years. They currently have a 10-year tax incentive that came about in 2018 that is set to expire in 2028. And just so you understand the impact that that has to the district, the current abatement in 2023, $6,342 were forgone in taxes but from the school district. The new abatement, which is also requesting a 75% tax incentive, would forgo $5,150 in taxes to the school district. So overall, between the two tax abatements, we'd be looking at $115,000 impact to the school district.
Per year?
No, overall. Per year is just shy of $12,000.
Does anyone have any questions about that at all? I just want to remark that the reason we're having this discussion, as long as I've been on the board, 16 years, we were told that our opinion really didn't matter when it came to tax abatements because the commissioners are going to do what the commissioners want to do. However, I was listening to their meeting on the 18th of January, and the board, the commissioner, president of the commissioners, Denny Malloy, asked for our opinion on it because it was going to impact us financially. I did remember, getting the information in very late December. December 26th is when our letter was dated from the Planning Commission. So I just kind of started doing some research and felt that this was a good avenue to go. LeBray had voted, well, they didn't vote, but their superintendent voiced his opinion that he didn't agree with it, and also TCTC. So their financial impact is nothing like ours, but when you look at $115,000, that's pretty impactful for our district. So the resolution that is on is in opposition if the commissioners vote yes. So I just wanted to get it on the record, so however, we vote tonight, that will be sent along to them.
I'm curious, has Dawn Incorporated reached out to us at all?
No, they have not.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have for the treasurer's report.
Thank you. All right, agenda item number 7, the superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening. I have to say, it's always good to be here at Jefferson. It seems like there's great things that happen from this building, and I don't know, maybe just good karma or what, or just maybe my perspective of how you see the world. Last year when we presented out about the Student Recreation Wellness Center, I believe. And that was a huge meeting because we had something great going on in the district, and we heard great things that were going on here at the building. So it was a great evening. And if you can imagine that we could even come close or top that today, I believe we're going to. We have some information. This is Michelle DeMuzio from SST Region 5. Michelle Moore, I'm sorry. Been DeMuzio for so many years. She's only been married, what, like 10 years now?
Less than that.
So Michelle Moore, I'm from SST 5. But I just want to start by giving a little bit of background. 9.5 years ago, the board had the faith in going into a different direction with the superintendent. I was blessed to be given the opportunity to have the job and the responsibilities that I have today, coming from experiences across the district and to do the work that we're doing. One of the first phone calls I made that July was to Michelle. I don't know if you remember it, but I remember it distinctly, and said, Michelle, I need support. If we're going to make changes in the district, I need support from SST 5. If anyone knows me, that support listed very specific things I wanted, individual people I wanted, tasks, talents, the whole 9 yards. What it would take to move the district academically into a stronger position than it was a decade ago. It's very humbling to be here to discuss this tonight, because in August, when I stood in front of the teachers for convocation, I shared with you that the Warren City School District no longer had any adverse designation tied to the district from federal designations for possibly the first time since there were designations assigned over 20 years ago. They said, but we have to wait, because then it gets broken down in December to school designations, where schools are referred to as focused or warning or intensive or whatever the titles have been over, and they've changed over the last 2 decades. Tonight, I can proudly say that we have no schools in the Warren City School District with an adverse academic designation. The district does not have one. No schools do. I have to attribute that to the hard work of the Warren City Schools community. The community meaning everyone, the stakeholders, the Board of Education, everyone that has worked into the direction, everyone who has bought in and understood and put the time in professional development, the blood, sweat, the tears, working with families to see a better outcome, doing whatever it took to get the job done. And it happened over time. Through structure, consistency, stability, a goal, a focus, in getting the job done. I'm looking at folks that have been here for many, many, many years. Since the day designations were in place, we've had one. That is not the case this evening. So I presented the board with a letter that Michelle Moore, as the Director of State Support Region 5, had provided to us. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle for a few words. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure. Steve pretty much stole the thunder, but yes, I mean, I know I started when I first came to the region, have been at several board meetings talking about the different designations that the schools in the district had had. And my daughter's going to be 21, and she wasn't born yet when I started working and supporting Warren. And Steve, through all his various roles, I could tell you the one thing that Warren has done that has stood out to many of the other places that we serve, have really held true to a few main rocks that they focused on. In fact, even when I go in his office, in the boardroom, they have them on the whiteboard. They don't change. They stay focused and driven from the top down, bottom up. So I was so excited when we got finally, just last week, the final list came out. And, you know, as he said, Warren has absolutely no federal designation in schools. And just to give you perspective, there's about 400 schools that do have designations across the state. And, and we have a lot in our region, our 4 counties, and this county has schools in designation. Just to have one thing, the larger your school district is, the more rich diversity you have, the harder it is to meet all the targets because you are calculated for every student group that you have. So it's even more commendable, I think, when you have rich diversity in your community and you're still meeting those targets. So congratulations.
So thank you very much, Michelle. Michelle has been with us and has been a partner in the work from the very beginning. And, it is with the commitment and the drive of those that have really been committed. And I do expect this, unless something crazy's happened in the city, to be the headline in the Tribune tomorrow. I mean, this is the biggest news, I think, today that has happened in the city. But we haven't heard from the Jefferson folks on their report, so they could definitely steal our thunder. So at this time, I'd like to turn over the superintendent's report to campus leader Carrie Boyer and her leadership team, so they can do a presentation on Jefferson Pre-K through 8 school.
Good evening and welcome to Jefferson. We're commonly referred to as the J. We are very excited to share our students that we are championing for and that they're championing for themselves, as well as our staff and everything we have to offer this evening. So my name's Carrie Boyer, obviously. I am the campus leader. I've been the campus leader here now for 11 years. This year has been a little bit different. We've had some changes. We've done some really great things. We really focused this year on being champions. The last few years, we've had kids we believed in them. We wanted them to believe in themselves. Now we're going to champion for each other. We're going to give high fives and make sure that we are moving towards the positive goals that we have. Through lots of efforts that we have here at Jefferson, the staff and students, we push everybody every day to have a voice, and you'll see that throughout our presentation with the staff having voice, and then we'll also show you some students who also have a large voice. If you met students on the way in, those are the students we have here in the after-school program with 21st Century, which we will also be discussing. A few things I just want to highlight, if it will work. Oh, there we go. Just a few things I want to highlight regarding academics. This year, K-5, we transitioned fully to the Wonders program, which is a structured literacy program that we wanted, that the entire district is focusing on. It's providing kids with more of a foundation of reading and giving them the opportunity to use phonetic skills that we have with Sadler Phonics into more reading and giving them rich experiences through reading. Every day we have 30 minutes. K-5, 30 minutes, 45 minutes for middle school, which we call J-time. Every student within the building has that opportunity for intervention, whether it's for really great reading or math, IXL, and so forth. IXL is used in the 4-8 for kids for math and literacy. We also started a program in the beginning of January where our 7th and 8th graders are mentoring our 1st and 2nd grade students in reading. They're giving the teacher an opportunity to meet with small groups, and then we have boys and girls coming down during their lunch, giving up part of their lunch, to read with students daily for about 30 minutes. They just really quickly go through reading passages that they've had for the week to give kids that additional experience. This year we had a really great opportunity to have interactive whiteboards placed in the building. Our K through 4, it was a full initiative. Every teacher that teaches kindergarten through 4th grade has an interactive whiteboard in their room. We also have majority of our 6-8 has them as well, and one of our preschool teachers. So with turnover in staff and having some new staff, they weren't here to say that they wanted one initially, but we're making every effort through Mr. Shiro to get those boards up and get kids to use them. As you can see, they use them lots of different ways: math, Kids use them. We purchased step stools so the little kids can kind of reach towards the top of the board. It's been a great impact. Kids are really much more engaged in lessons as they're continuing through the day. K2, we're continuing our tradition. When we opened this building 13 years ago in 2010, myself, Mr. Shiro, Mrs. Hartzell were all here as we opened the building, and the same activities that we started then 13 years ago are still strong. We still have kindergarten pumpkin carving with families in October every year. Preschool is now doing service projects, making blankets for some of our elderly neighbors. We have our Believers Christian that come in and they have adopted the K2 and provide gifts for our students as well as school supplies. We also had this year, which was phenomenal and had a phenomenal response with our family events right at the holidays, right before winter break, where we had families come in, gingerbread houses. We had Math Marvelous Days. They made gingerbread houses. They made gingerbread men. We did winter activities. It was a grand event. We had lots of families in the building, and it was probably it was a crazy day, but it was an awesome day. It never, ever fails when we have kids, when they're smiling and happy as they come through the building. Not only is K2 here, it's always been one of the things in my heart with preschool through second grade, but we're building that foundation and supporting students. They have voice too. Some of the things that we've been doing, they decorated the hallway at the holidays with gingerbread. The kids were just phenomenal, and they decorated that. The teachers put up the bare bones, but the kids added to it. But building that foundation leads me to 3-5. The more we can build that foundation with attendance and getting kids here and reading and writing, the better off they will be in 3-5.
Hi, I'm Anthony Klein. I'm the 3-5 principal here. So to, I guess, summarize the 3-5 pod in a nutshell, I'm new to this position. I'm new to Jefferson in general. But the one thing that I quickly learned about the 3-5 pod in general is it's like a family atmosphere. The staff treats the staff like family. The students treat the students like family, and then it kind of intertwines together. So the 3-5 pod's like a big family atmosphere. So we have, in our J time or our intervention, every student has a data-focused J time. So there's multiple data points that were looked at to basically come up with the most strategic plan for every single student that we have in the 3-5 pod. To pick up off that, we have after-school academic programs that, again, we had an academic after-school program for the third grade in the fall, and starting February 7th, we have one for the third through fifth grade. Multiple data points were looked at to be very selective and targeted on the students that we pick to make sure that we're meeting specific needs of all of our students. We have, and then some of the other programs that we have are Snack Shack. Our pod has become pretty self-sufficient on a lot of the PBIS incentives and things like that that the 3-5 pod utilizes. With the Snack Shack, popcorn sales. The popcorn sales the staff appreciate just as much as the students do. And all of those things have kind of come together to help support the snowflake ball. And if this, to me, being my first year, the snowflake ball was pretty amazing. Just seeing all of the students, the parents getting excited. It's essentially like a prom for the kids in the 3-5 pod. And so again, if it wasn't for some of the incentives and some of the money or fundraising opportunities that we have in the 3-5 pod, that wouldn't be possible for those students. We have our St. Joe's Pen Pal program that our fourth grade students write letters to people at St. Joe's, and right before Christmas, representatives from St. Joe's Hospital came in and gave gifts to the students. So it was just nice to be able to make a connection between our pen pals. We have a lot of out-of-classroom supports, just different personnel around the building that, again, have a goal to meet the needs of our students. It's bringing it back to the family atmosphere. Across grade level supports, if teachers had students in third grade see students that are in fifth grade having a difficult day, they're the first ones that are going to reach out to those students and see what they can do to support them. And it's well known across the pod that that's what the teachers are going to do. And then another thing that makes it different, Mr. Cal's not in attendance today, but he has intramurals with the students after school. And I mentioned our Race to 100 today. If you ever attended Mr. Cal's intramurals after school, it sounds like the students, like you're at a basketball game or something. The kids get really excited to do really anything that Mr. Cal's involved in. Good for the next one. And then this is just one of our projects. So we talked about the intervention and enrichment piece. One of our enrichment pieces that we wanted to do with our students this year, it was set up by Mrs. Massaros. The students worked collaboratively with her to tie in a gifted project that aligned with our Wonders curriculum. And the piece of the project that it was in relation to was how students can make a difference in their community. So the students came up with an idea to sell snow cones at lunch, and all of the proceeds towards that went towards purchasing supplies for the Trumbull County Dog Warden. So as you see in both of the pictures, we have some of our students that were involved in the project, and then all of the supplies that were involved and donated to the Trumbull County Dog Warden. And then our next slide, which I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Vallejos Hall, our 5-8 counselor, deals with our peer mediators, which we utilize quite a bit to really get students to not utilize staff members to get through some of the emotional needs that they might have.
Good evening. So our peer mediator program was a program that started in 2016. I'm going to try to give justice to the program as Suzanne Goodyear-Pondillo would, because she is the director and kind of runs the program with the peer mediators, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make it today. The peer mediators are trained in the beginning of the school year. They are trained on conflict resolution skills and how to navigate through a conflict amongst their peers by giving support and guidance without giving the answer to a problem. So the process is there's papers in each of the classrooms. If a student is having a conflict, they know that they could fill out a request to have a peer mediation. So the program is geared on students having the ability to solve each other's problems and the connection that they can make with their peers to find the opportunity to solve their problem with their own ideas without an adult giving that guidance. We're always present. Some of the steps that they go through is what happened, how do you feel, and they love being a part of it. They wear their shirts. If you see, there's the Peace in Progress peace shirts that were donated to Jefferson for the peer mediators. And on the days that they are selected, if they are to do a peer mediation, they wear their shirts, which they really enjoy that day. So it kind of makes them stand out on that day. And I think the next slide was the billboard, right? So the no. Okay, so I guess I'm here again. So the College Visits and Career Week. One thing I'd like to say about Jefferson, just with the transition, is when I started 5 years ago, there was no getting acclimated. It was like, roll up your sleeves, we got work to do, and let's go for it. And that's what it's been ever since. This year, we've put a little bit of spin to our college and career focus. One of the focus that we discussed was in our college focus, our academic focus college visits. So in the past, with our academics, honor roll students, we would have a luncheon, a breakfast with the families. So we wanted to put a little spin to it this year by giving them the opportunity to have a college visit. So on February 7th, it's our first academic focus college visit. So all 6th through 8th students that met honor roll requirements for first and second quarter will visit YSU. They will be greeted by the honors college students and given a presentation with a Q&A. They will visit the Butler Art Museum, and then they will end at the Rec Center. So they're excited to do that. And then the week of March 11th, we're also putting a spin to our career week this year. Using the district data, we are exposing students in grades 3 to 8 to common career and college paths. So what we've done, I've reached out to the school counselors at the high school to see like some of the common colleges that our district students tend to attend. And we've collected that. The one day they will be doing presentations. So instead of doing a college fair where we are inviting outside colleges to present to our students are going to make their own college fair. So each classroom grade level will be presenting, doing a tripod presentation by collecting information on that college, and then there will be a college fair that the students have presented. So the goal really was to kind of get them invested into finding what each college has to give them and what also they have to give to the college. So that was part of the college component. We all know that all of our students do not attend college, and some of them do go into the manufacturing kind of, okay, now, so the manufacturing, yeah, trajectory. So we went to Manufacturing Day with selected students this year, and we reached back out to them. So we're collaborating with America Makes, which is out of Youngstown, and the Mahoning Valley Manufacturers Coalition to make a day where we're going to expose our students to the manufacturing jobs. So what they do is they bring different manufacturing companies from the community into Jefferson, and the students have a hands-on experience with those different manufacturing companies. And we'd like to add a family component to this. So our 3 to 5 students, our grades 3 to 5, they will have the opportunity to bring in their families. So if they bring in their slip, their families attend, they can have that experience with their families, which also exposes our families to the opportunities of what jobs may be out there even for themselves. We are also collaborating with TCTC. I go every year to the 8th grade experience at TCTC. It is very well accepted from our 8th grade students. They love the hands-on component of it, and they love the different programs that they have. So they will be coming to us one day. They will be visiting our 3 to 8 classrooms. There's going to be 12 programs that are going to be visiting this year. The students are going to have the opportunity to select 3 of the 12 programs that they are interested in, and they will be able to visit each of these programs and there will be 2 students from each program from TCTC. So it's, as you can tell, we're really focusing on a community collaboration and a focus a little bit on the college and career. That's it.
Good evening. I am Sonia Washington, AKA Miss Marshall. I am the 6-8 principal here at Jefferson. I have been at this building for 10 years, and I've been in the district 20 years. This is my 20th anniversary of being in the district. I transitioned to the middle school pod, which is a home away from home for me, because when I started here in the district, I taught middle school over at East Middle School behind the hospital, and then transitioned to Willer at the onset of its opening. As I returned back home to middle school this year, I was very excited. And some of the things, as I discussed with the staff as I came back to middle school, as some focuses for the students this year, these are some of the things that, as we discussed as a staff, we felt like were important to transition our students, not only from 5th to 6th grade, but as we transition our 8th graders to being future freshmen. Having personal experience as a parent of a student who now goes to Warren G. Harding in the 10th grade, I remember the trepidation she went through as she went to 9th grade. So I took some of that experience and decided to build future leaders into our middle school students. It is utilizing the acronym as a way for students to build that self-awareness. The one thing middle school students struggle the most with is self-awareness. It is the me show between the ages of 12 to 14. But teaching them the skills to be able to be more self-aware shows them that the acronym is a lifestyle and not just something that you do to get points to be able to do fun stuff in school. It's changing the mindset of students to teach them these are successful ways that you will become a successful adult. Changing the narrative. I really wanted to change the narrative of our students transitioning off to the high school and even coming up to the middle school, that when you get to middle school, you are now in the presence of others and you are now looked at as a leader in the building. You are now a part of the oldest group of the building. So wherever you go, wherever you travel, someone younger than you is watching you at all times. And as our students transition to the high school, being an example when you get there that, oh, it's not, oh, these are the kids from Jefferson. It's, oh, you are the kids from Jefferson. You carry a level of excellence that an area does not dictate who you are. Excellence is derived by your character. As our students prepare for high school, it was one of my goals to have them be able to shift the expectations. So when we came back from winter break, I had a reset. The reset primarily focused on areas where students were looked at work expectation. It also looked at their current MAP scores, and it also looked at for students setting goals. Another onset of things I looked at for the 8th grade students was scheduling and preparing for high school. As I had the meetings with students, work completion was a big part of it, to where they were doing the work inside the classroom in a timely manner, to where they're more efficient with being able to handle their work and being more efficient with handling responsibility. With our 8th grade students, I looked at primarily setting personal goals. One of our middle school teachers, Mrs. Gabrick, she came up with a goal sheet that students started at the beginning of the year and then came back to at the middle of the year. I took some of her fire and created a goal sheet for students looking specifically at their MAP scores and how those scores would set them to prepare them to be able to go into high school classes, that what you get now will matter a little bit later on, and how you need to be prepared to make those changes. And as I've had meetings with students, it's so funny, I've sat down with pretty much 50% of 8th grade so far, and I'm continuing to meet them. Some of them said, Ms. Marshall, are you gonna meet with me about my MAP scores? Because my winter scores, I gotta make some changes before I get to high school. It encouraged me that they're starting to think, this matters. I need to make some changes now. I got some time. How can you help me make better decisions? And they had to come up with personal goals of what they're going to do to be able to get to a place where they're ready for high school. From that, Ms. Vallejo's Hall came up with the think tank. The think tank is where students are able to give up their lunch period to come and complete work or get extra support from teachers. We have some of our middle school staff who are volunteering their time 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, to sit with students in 6th grade during their lunchtime and during our 7-8 lunch to help them with work or give them more support. It is voluntary. They can sign up. We've had some students who struggle with absences. Usually I kind of give the, hey, you think you want to go to the think tank? And they're like, Ms. Marshall, I'm going to go sign up. So we have had students who are now in a small setting who are receiving additional support to kind of help them complete work to where they feel more successful. Our data-driven intervention and enrichment, we have been looking at our MAP data. We've been talking about how to create an environment where our students are utilizing iExcel that gives them a learning path that aligns with their MAP scores. Teachers are working hard to make sure students are finishing the work during our IE period and being able to show gains in those particular areas. And these are some pictures from Manufacturing Day that Ms. V alluded to a little bit earlier, where some of our students, we had 10 students who went, and it was an experience. They came back, they were so excited. I just wanted to share some photos of their experience.
Hi, my name is Elisa DeCesar. I am currently a 6th grade intervention specialist here at Jefferson. I was trying to think of how many years I've been here. It's 11 or 12. When I was first asked to speak, I asked how much time I had to fill, and then when I started thinking about what I wanted to say, I told myself I had to reel it in, because I could stand up here and talk about this group of kids for hours. I'm currently one of the student council advisors, and this was a new experience for me. I didn't really look at what was happening in years prior. I kind of had a vision in my mind, and along with the principals, they've kind of let me roll with what I feel is best for our students. I have been in all of the pods at Jefferson. I have had my current 6th graders 3 times, kindergarten, 4th, and now 6th. So I feel like I know our kids pretty well. So student council, I started with anyone who felt that they wanted to participate could sign up. But they had to understand that there were qualifications that we looked at. So I did look at grades, we looked at attendance, overall behavior, things like that. They had to write a small speech, which they read to each of their homerooms in the 6-8, and then those homerooms voted for who they thought was the best representative for their classroom. Along with that, I still check in with them on their grades, and if there is any behaviors that we have to discuss, I started telling them, don't make me look bad. And now I've switched that to, you're making me look good, so keep it up. They come to me first. They don't want me to see their name on an email if we're checking in with their grades. So I feel like I've built a really good relationship with them. We have done so many things that I don't even think I listed them all. Depending on when you came in today, there were students that were greeting you. That was one of my favorite things that I implemented. They need to learn how to speak to people that are outside of this building. So anytime we have a family event or if there's other adults coming into the building, they stand at the doors. We have a little speech prepared. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm on student council. Please walk this way, or whatever it is. Sometimes they do the sign-ins. And so we're building that independence with the student council as well. So like I said, they've participated in family days. They helped with pumpkin carving. They helped with our Thanksgiving feast. They helped with the incentives, so they were serving hot chocolate. They helped set up the movie night and sell snacks. Currently, we're doing a food drive for the Community Food Council here in Warren. Another thing that I had them do was they were responsible for helping me call the organizations in the area to see if they could use our help. So again, that independence piece, they need to know how to talk on the phone appropriately to adults and businesses, and this is their community, so I wanted them to feel comfortable with that. Over the holidays, they collaborated with first grade. They helped them paint canvases for a local nursing home, and then my 6-8 kids wrote over 100 Christmas cards to go along with those gifts. I'm actually the next slide, so I kind of put my speech together. I'm also the advisor for National Junior Honor Society. I don't want to say most, many of the students that are on student council are also my students that are in National Junior Honor Society. So anything that I mentioned, I have kids in both groups that are collaborating in the pod. National Junior Honor Society is a little bit different of a process. It's based on scholarship, service, leadership, character, and citizenship, and they are sponsored by staff members. So it's a little bit different of a process, but when I can send out a group of middle school kids, give them a task, like giving the boxes out, reading their little script for the food drive, and not have to worry about anything going wrong, I think that's pretty impressive for January and for preteen and some teenagers. I've really enjoyed it, and I think the kids are too, and if anybody would like to donate to our food drive, please feel free to drop anything off in the office within the next 2 weeks. Thanks.
Men of distinction. So we were at a trauma training the other night, and Brene Brown was one of the quotes that we had used, and it really resonates with this program. So what it said was, connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. And that nailed it as to where this program had originally came from. So it's on its 5th year. It originated and got funding from the John Ween Foundation, and now we had the opportunity this year to be a little bit more sufficient or self-sufficient with some funds that we left over. So the mission statement is that it is a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade mentoring program that's designed to assist families, not just students, but families, in raising emotionally competent, fully responsible men who are assets to their families, communities, and the younger generations who follow behind them. The vision includes men of the community making themselves available and helping teenagers to become healthy, motivated, responsible, informed, and capable men of noble character. So our men that we have this year is, once again, a collaboration with the community. We have mentors from Second Baptist Church, from the Trumbull Correctional Institute, from Believers Church, from some of our workers that are here through Alta, through Oakwood Counseling. So we really have a really strong group of men this year. We have 16 volunteers this year, and we have around 22 students that come on and off that are mentees. So they have bi-weekly progress report, which they come in and they discuss anything they need to discuss, building that connection and bringing them back to a sense of belonging in within Jefferson. So they have one community service project, which is going to be the Sleep in Heavenly Peace project for building a bed. A recognition dinner where we invite their families at the end of the year. A field day, which is actually tomorrow. They'll be taking their first field trip together as a group. One career field trip, which they will be visiting the Youngstown Air Base this year and touring there. And another recreational field trip that we will have. And if you see the picture in the middle, that is what we do as their initial meet and greet. Compass Behavioral Health comes in and does a team building where it is run through their counselors. And they start off by building, that connection amongst the mentors and the mentees.
Another program that we've been able to expand upon this year is our SMARTS program, which we do now have grades 3 through 6 students that get on a bus and they go to our Monroe building and they are bused back home from there. While they're there, they get to experience creative writing and drama, so some things that they wouldn't necessarily have here, and it expands into our arts as well. And then one thing that I wanted to talk about personally, our BLT and our committees that we've started this year. Our BLT has expanded this year. We have 23 members. And as I was standing up here, it's funny. Raise your hand if you're sitting in the audience and you're in our BLT. So as Carrie was talking about earlier, creating student voice, we also wanted to create teacher voice with our BLT as well. So we have great representation of each pod. We have a member from PK to 8th grade, our reading support, our case manager, counselors, and ISTs. Our BLT had decided on starting 5 committees at the end of the year last year, which we had decided on reading, math, PBIS, attendance, and climate. So this year these committees have started and they meet once a month, and that's allowed for a lot of our teacher leadership, like I had said. Each committee has a chairperson or lead that has the meeting with the agendas and things that they go over. Committees have planned family days for our math and reading. Those are some of the things that they've been able to implement this year because we wanted to get our families back in. And then I have someone from our PBIS committee that's going to come up and talk about that.
Good evening. My name's Laura Crank, and I'm the chair of the PBIS committee. So this framework is used to help students and support them behaviorally, socially, academically, and emotionally. This aligns with our SEL curriculum, as well as the CHAMPS framework implemented this year. And all of these supports help students learn behaviors that are necessary to succeed in all areas of life. So this year, our PBIS principals have focused on the WARN acronym, the work ethic, accountability, responsibility, respect, effective behavior, and no excuses. We've broken down the 6 attributes of the acronym into principles our students can learn and master. So we teach them about how work ethic means engaging in the lesson and completing work. Accountability is keeping their area clean, taking care of supplies, accepting punishments and rewards, and how responsible students are dependable and can follow the rules and expectations. And as you can see, these all start to build on one another. The students also learn about respect and are asked to treat people as they would like to be treated. And we also talked about using effective behavior, which for students means understanding what is expected of them and to have no excuses. So these expectations are posted throughout the school for both students and staff to reference. Each student has also been given a WARN card to keep track of the skills they have learned. And then they have the opportunity to be rewarded every 2 to 3 weeks. So some of the favorite incentive rewards are the snowflake ball, playing bingo, pancake breakfast, and a special bonus of Pie the Principal for students who mastered all 6 skills the first semester. That was a hit. The PBIS team also collects data to track how students are doing with each of the skills. When we noticed a group that was struggling, an intervention was done with that grade level, and they also have ongoing mentoring and support to support their success. This semester, we're continuing with the Warren acronym card to help solidify these skills in students so they can become the champions of our future. Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about some of the field trips and the different experiences that we offer our children besides everything else that they have already talked about. One thing that we are doing this year for the very first time is our fifth graders. Ms. Vrabel and Misty Tate, who are here, are taking our fifth graders to Camp Fitch next week. So that's a 2-night trip in the 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they'll be going to Camp Fitch for the very first time. So that's a great experience for our children. The Cavs Academy was also here for our 4th and 5th graders. They loved it. The Cavs coaches came in and did different things and promoted the positivity with our kids. Our 6th through 8th grade will be going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year and the Pro Football Hall of Fame hopefully in the spring. And something new that we are doing this year, which I don't believe we've done in the 13 years since Jefferson has opened, we are going to the theater district up in Cleveland, and our 3rd and 4th graders will be going to watch a play, and they will also be visiting the Great Lakes Science Center as well in the spring. That's also going to be happening in May. And then just to piggyback on the 21st Century. So I'm also the site coordinator for 21st Century, so I have to talk about our 21st Century experience. This is our 11th year doing it. If you guys don't know what 21st Century is all about, we offer after-school enrichment and intervention for our children ages grades levels 6 through 8th. We go Monday through Thursday till 7 o'clock. The kids were actually here tonight. They did a couple things. For this block, we are actually going to do test prep since the Ohio State test is coming up. And we do 30 minutes of iExcel for our 6th through 8th, as well as we do different enrichment programs. Some of them, which our kids are loving this year, we started boxing in January. Our 8th graders, I believe, did Spanish this past go-around, which they loved. So now all of our 8th graders who are going to be freshmen want to do Spanish next year at the high school. We also offer art, chess. We, for the very first year, have a robotics team that actually competed this year at Harding. We have about 8 or 9 kids, so that was very exciting. I've never gone to a robotics competition like that. It was like a 10-hour event, but they loved it. And for the very first time, we are going to keep going with it and build so our 8th graders could feed right into the robotics team up at the high school. And we do have a couple of our teachers here tonight. Misty Tate has been doing this now for 3 or 4 years with me. And Miss Prater, when I cannot do it in the evenings, Miss Prater steps up and she is here almost every night with our children till 7 o'clock as well. So thank you, ladies, for doing that for our children. And Miss V, you're up again.
Okay, so 3rd time's a charm. So attendance, being on the attendance committee, I would like to say, in a shout out to Jefferson, we have the best overall attendance in the district this year. So that's amazing. I asked Ms. Marola at the climate meeting before the board meeting, and she did say as of yesterday that still stood. So I am legit on my data. So we have done a lot with the attendance committee, which also consists of the other counselor and our liaisons, a teacher volunteer, and our case manager. And we come together almost weekly, and we look at the data of our attendance. Things that we have done for attendance is we did our first ever family all-star attendance breakfast the first 9 weeks. We had approximately 150, right? About 150 students and families that came together and had breakfast that morning that was prepared from our cafeteria. We have weekly perfect attendance prizes. So as a self-monitoring tool, we have put in weekly attendance boards in each classroom, K to 8, and students check off their attendance for the day, and then at the end of the week, if they've had perfect attendance, they get a treat from the liaisons that come through. We have different prizes that they get. The second 9 weeks, perfect attendance, students got a Blizzard bar, and they also get their pictures put on the 100% attendance crew in the back of the cafeteria. So that's the picture board shout out for the quarterly perfect attendance. We had parent guardian postcard shout out. So the families that were part of the perfect attendance, they got a postcard sent out to them. And what we really try to do after the first 9 weeks was do a data-driven presentation called Attendance Matters. So we looked at the different groups and we focused on the moderate at-risk students that were in that level. So we have 0 to 5% as good standing, 5 to 10%, and then the 10 to 20%. So we looked at that 5 to 20% bracket of students that were hitting that threshold, and we put together a presentation to kind of look at what barriers we might be seeing. So one of the barriers that we were seeing at that time was their attendance due to illness. So we promoted and sent out to the families, once again, the Akron Children's School-Based Health as a way to try to get them in and get them checked out here so they're not missing school because of that. We also reached out to families and let them know once again about what the pantry has to offer. The liaisons are part of our McKinney-Vento homelessness, so that's also came into awareness if that was a barrier. So we kind of did a holistic view at attendance and looked at the data and kind of did a data-driven presentations with those students that were at those thresholds. And then we have a visual daily attendance percentage tracker that's outside of the liaison's office to see if we're meeting the green, the yellow, or the red for the day. One other thing that we used from our training on attendance that we had over the summertime was the teacher concern sheet. So on Staff General, there is a sheet that if teachers have not had eyes on students or if they're concerned about a student's attendance, they have the opportunity to fill out this sheet. And then our liaisons have 48 hours, 2 school days to respond to the teachers. From talking to teachers, that kind of empowered them to have a voice and to ask and get a response into what's going on with some of their students. And also them to be able to have the voice to voice their concerns. And then we had weekly progress monitoring trackers and strengths assessments on one-on-one student meetings for those moderate to chronic behavior attendance students.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody who presented. I appreciate them. That voice is important. Not only is the voice important for the people within the building, but the community has also brought in their voice and have championed for our kids, Believers Christian, the United Way of Trumbull County, Vision to Learn, which our students are currently getting eye exams and free glasses, St. Joe's at Mercy Health, Akron Children's Hospital, which was missed on here, Trumbull Correctional Institute. All those people have a hand in supporting students to provide all the needs that they also need. One of the things, again, I'm going to say is our kids have voice. This is our billboard. If you haven't seen it, it is across the street, across Todd Avenue. Our students wanted to design a billboard. They asked to design a billboard. They designed it. We modified it slightly, but this is their creation. They wanted to say what they wanted to say about Jefferson and how they feel. So once again, our students have voice. We're championing for them. Staff has voice, and we just want everybody in the community to be proud of the kids that leave here. Thank you.
Okay, well, before I say anything, do any of my colleagues have anything that they would like to say?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think what you guys is doing is amazing. Like, you guys are absolutely rock stars. A lot of times, I don't know all of you personally, but I've seen a lot of the work that you've done. Ms. Marshall, I've known you for years, and I probably wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you, so thank you. But I definitely do appreciate the work that you guys are doing. You guys are absolutely amazing, and it's shown within the smiles of your students, so thank you.
I just want to say kudos to all the teachers and administrators here at the J. You guys are doing a tremendous job, and you have an awful lot going on here. And I think that you've managed to build a tremendous relationship with the students. And I think that's key, first and foremost, building relationships, gaining trust, and then in the process of doing that, you're making a difference in our students' lives. And I really want to say thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Our eyes are on you. Your kids appreciate you. Thank you.
Definitely, and I ditto everything that Dr. Alls and Patrick said. And even in addition to the things that were presented here today, I know that there's so much more that happens that you just didn't have time to put up there. The trunk or treat that goes on. Jefferson is such a part of the community of Southwest Warren. It would dramatically change the face of the city if Jefferson were to change. And that's attributed to each and every one of you, from the teachers to the custodians, to the administrators, to the volunteers, to the parents. So kudos, 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 congratulations. Number one in attendance, you know how to get them here, make it engaging and make it inviting. And it's even evident in the fact of what the kids put. I'm curious what they had on there originally before you doctored it up. No, on that billboard, but no, like evident in how the kids feel, and I'm sure the families feel likewise. So I like what the new administrator said, Mr. Klein. He said that the 3-5 pod is a family, and it seems that way from an outsider looking in. Jefferson is that way. I've been to the 21st century programs, the sports programs that happen back here, which I know is not just Jefferson, but Jefferson's effect on the district is cool. And congratulations to the robotics teams too for competing for the first time. So yeah. All right.
Okay, very good. I want to thank my colleagues for all of their observations of all of the hard work that you put in. I think that the average resident in Warren just will drive by a school building any given day, and they really have no idea everything that's happening inside of that building. I'm going to take a kind of walk away from the education piece, and I want to thank all of you for the passion that you have for our students, for the love that you have for them. You walk in these buildings every single day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes in the evenings and on the weekends when there are events, and you're here because you want to do that. You want to see these children grow. I think everything that you do is just amazing. Keep up the amazing work. We appreciate you. We value you. I know this is very nerve-wracking whenever the Board of Education comes and you're like, oh my goodness, we have to do a presentation. We're excited to be here. We thank you for hosting us. We want to see everything that you're doing. We started doing this many, many years ago, going out into the buildings. I think it's so important that we continue that. So again, thank you. We appreciate you, and we love you all.
So I guess I get the last word. I just wanted to thank everybody who plays a significant part in the great work here at the J. And I guess the greatest compliment I can give some of you in the room is thank you for continuing the tradition of the great things that happen here every day with children here in the city of Warren. It's every small detail that makes the difference. There's a mark on the wall in the afternoons. It's expected at this building to be gone by morning because we're raising the standard. It's been that way. Ms. Boyer, question, how much vandalism do you really get outside? None. None. And that's because of the culture and the climate inside the building spills that this is a sacred place for your children and families because of what you pour into it. That this building has very, very, very little issues on the property. I see a ton of kids at times taking advantage of the courts or the play equipment outside, especially in the summers. And there's no problems whatsoever. And everything seems to be the same way every day as we come back. And that's because they enjoy their time here as students, many of them. I'm sure some don't. But the reality is what you're pouring into the children and the community is of great value. And I really thank you for doing all that you do and continuing the tradition here at the J. And with that, it concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 8, which is Board of Education committee reports. Athletics.
Mr. Nicholson is at an event in Boardman. He has no report for this evening, but I wanted to pose the question, can Athletic Council be moved from the 8th of February to the 15th?
I'm fine with that. Mr. Walker? You want to check first?
Okay, then we will make a change and we will take care of that announcement.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Finance Advisory? Anything? Anything? Okay, thank you. Board Policies and Guidelines? Okay, thank you. Legislative?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This past weekend, I went to Cleveland and attended the Board Member 101 Comprehensive Professional Development Experience for first-year members. I learned a lot and met a lot of great people. So, yeah.
Good. We're glad that you were able to attend that.
Yes.
And TCTC, we won't have a report tonight due to Mrs. Patterson's absence. Do we have anything under old business? And anything under new business? Okay, did we have, we didn't have anyone sign up for public participation? Thank you. So we will move to page 3, agenda, on the agenda, item number 1. Dr. Alls, please.
Treasurer's recommendations. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the December 2023 and January 2024 board minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 4, item 2, Mr. Flanagan, please.
A monthly financial statement. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the December 2023 financial statement and short-term investments made by the treasurer during December 2023 be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, if there are any questions, call the roll, please.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, the motion carries. On page 6, item 3, Mr. Walker, please.
Yes, revised appropriations budgets. It is recommended the resolution listed below to approve the revised appropriation budget, items A through G, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 8, item 4, Dr. Alls, please.
It is recommended the resolution listed below for tax rates for calendar year 2024 be approved as submitted.
Second.
And this was reviewed at the beginning of the meeting under the treasurer's report. Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 9, item 5, Mr. Flanagan, please.
A resolution to oppose the Trumbull County Board of Commissioners' approval of an enterprise agreement with Don Incorporated that provides for tax incentives of 75% for 10 years for renovations on property located at 2861 Sephira Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44483, and the purchase of property at 2961 Sephira Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44483. It is recommended the resolution listed below to oppose the Trumbull County Board of Commissioners' approval of an enterprise agreement with Don Incorporated that provides for tax incentives of 75% for 10 years for renovations on property located at 2861 Sephira Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44483, and the purchase of property at 2961 Sephira Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44483 be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 10, item 1, Mr. Walker, please.
Superintendent's recommendations, agreements, contracts, and/or leases. It is recommended the resolution listed below entering into agreements, contracts, and/or leases A through B be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 11, item 2, Dr. Alls, please.
2024-2025 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. It is recommended the resolution listed below authorizing 2024-2025 membership in the Ohio School Athletic Association be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 12, item 3, Mr. Flanagan, please.
Declaring transportation impractical. It is recommended the resolution listed below be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 14, item 4, Mr. Walker, please.
Ohio State testing procedure. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the following in-state testing procedures for the 2024-2025 school year be approved as submitted.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 15, item 5, Dr. Alls, please.
Board policies review. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the review of board policies be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions about this?
No.
Call the roll, please.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 16, item 6, Mr. Flanagan, please.
Tuition reimbursement. It is recommended the resolution listed below for tuition reimbursement be approved as submitted.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Alls?
Yes.
And Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 17, item 7, Mr. Walker, please.
Yes.
That's a long one.
Yeah. Acceptance of gifts. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding acceptance of gifts be approved as submitted. We want to thank All Poured Out LLC for their donation of to Jefferson PK through 8 for robotics T-shirts valued at $350. Christ Episcopal Church for Lincoln PK through 8 for the weekly pantry donations estimated at $150 per week. $150 per week. Christ Episcopal Church again for Lincoln PK through 8, the Christmas gifts for students with an estimated value of $2,900. Ducut for their gift to Willard PK through 8 school for the winter clothing valued at approximately $2,000. Virginia Grabowski, for Lincoln PK through 8 school monetary donation of of a value of $400. Joshua Gruber, Lincoln PK through 8, for 2-pack traffic wands, estimated value $20. But wait, there's more. Hampton Inn for their donation to the Lincoln PK through 8 school miscellaneous school supplies, estimated value $200. For Kathy Kiefer, for her donation to Lincoln PK through 8 school for the pantry donation, estimated value $75. For Miss Nora McCarty, for her donation to McGuffey PK through 8 school, hats, gloves, estimated value $45. For Rallies and their donation to the Lincoln PK through 8 school, 200 ice cream coupons, estimated value $200. The River Church, Warren City School Pantries, monetary donation value $2,000. St. Mark's Church for Jefferson PK through 8, assortment of clothing, hats, gloves, and hygiene products. Estimated value, $1,150. For Judy, and I do apologize, Skalski?
Is this Kalski?
Yes, say that one more time.
Is this Kalski?
Skalski's, yes. Lincoln PK through 8 school. Pantry donation, estimated value $140. The United States Air Force, Warren G. Harding High School. Christmas gifts for students, estimated value $500. And United Way, Jefferson PK through 8 school, girls and boys shoes, estimated value $2,000. Thank you all so much.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Earls?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 19, item 8, Dr. Oz, please.
Personnel recommendations. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding personnel items A through N be approved as submitted.
Okay, that'll take you through to page 34. We do have 2 military leave notices on page one's on page 20, and one is on 29. We'd like to thank Riley Leswell Bernard, and also, get the other one here, Kyle Huey for their service. And do we have a second?
Yes, so a second.
Thank you. Any questions on anything? Everybody good? Okay, call the roll, please.
Dr. Earls?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. Okay, and now we're going to move to page 36. We have no one signed up for public participation. There is no need for executive session, so at this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and the time is 7:29 PM, and please call the roll.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Dr. Earls?
Yes.
And Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, the motion carries. We are done. Thank you again so much for coming out tonight. Again, we appreciate all of the work that you do.